May 3rd every year is a time or is a day to celebrate World Press Freedom Day. That is a day to celebrate our media icons, our journalists, who we call the gatekeepers of every flourishing economy. And for this year, the theme of this year also speaks to shaping a future at peace, promoting press freedom for human rights development and security. And to discuss this with me in the studio today is one of our veteran journalists. She is Dr. Mrs. Hope Orivri. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And I think I forgot to introduce, she's also the editor-in-chief, right?
I'm the editor-in-chief for OnePage
Africa News. Thank you very much for having us, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Now, straight to the question I'll ask you. Now, the theme of this year talks about shaping a future of peace, promoting press freedom for human rights, development, and security. How relevant is this theme to journalism today?
Okay, thank you. I think this theme for the Press Freedom Day 2026 is the entirety of what journalism practice is. We talk about journalism for peace, resolution of conflicts. We talk about journalism to ensure accountability. Yeah. We talk about journalism to ensure responsiveness and responsibility. Now, talking about shaping a future for peace, what are the factors, what are the nuances that we look at to ensure that a nation is at peace? First, you look at how is information shared? Who shares information? How do they share this information amongst what group of people? We know that in today's world of social media, we have information flying everywhere. So we'll say, if you want to look at journalism, it's not just about social media, but it's about news sources, news medium, where people are trained in journalism, for information sharing, information gathering, information processing, for the sake of informing people correctly, informing people appropriately. You may want to ask appropriately how. It is not gossip, it is news. It is news to ensure that people get information, the appropriate information to use in their decision making. We talk about news or information for the purpose of either conflict resolution or avoiding conflict. We know people live in societies. In society, everybody wants to protect their own interest. If information that will be damaging to a people is shared, you know that there can be problem. People can go up in arms. Definitely. So for responsible journalism, we are certain, we have to ensure that whatsoever information is being shared must be factual, must be true. And then even when it is factual, we talk about security, we talk about national security. There's some information, yes, they may be factual, they may be the truth, but we also have to look inwards to say, when I share this information,
of what effect
will it be? What could be the consequences? So for proper journalism, we process information and know how to share information. So for the 2026 Press Freedom Day, it is the entirety of what responsible journalism should be.
All right, thanks. So the theme again speaks to shaping a future of peace, right? Yeah. And then we call the journalism, we call you people, right? We call you the gatekeepers of the economy, right? Now, in Nigeria, let's come it home. Let's bring it home, rather. Yeah. Now, how will you describe the level of press freedom in Nigeria?
Okay, I think I'll not just speak. I would like to speak with a guidance from the 2026 index that at least showed the ranking of press freedom around the world. But amongst 180 countries, Nigeria is ranked 112.
Yes, I think I saw it.
And it's not so much of, how will I say it, fun, because in that ranking, Nigeria is still placed within the periphery of difficult. There may be some very good sense or level of press freedom, but we still find repressions across board, different places, you may not be told to say, "Oh, don't publish a particular item," even if it is truth, even if it is something that the larger society needs to make informed choices or informed decision. But if there are some personal interests on the other side of the divide, then journalists still face censorship in different forms.
All right, now you talked about responsible journalism.
Yes.
Which I'd like to speak to now. I know you already spoke about the social media and all that, source of information and how they are being disseminated, right?
Yeah.
You would agree with me that the cliche that the journalists are the gatekeepers is actually right, because they can actually set a country on the flames if the wrong narratives are given out, right? Now, how do journalists, in the place of freedom, now we call it World Press Freedom Day, even within the freedom, they exercise some level of responsibility in being free. How do you discuss this?
You see, even when we say the World Press Freedom Day, besides or beyond looking at how free the press is with respect to censorship from either government and other bodies, journalism itself and journalists themselves also have that self-censorship. They look at certain things, and I would like to say in this case responsible journalism. If you look at a media house, a media outfit, or a group of journalists who are properly trained, who are practicing as it should be, they don't just share anything. Says you can't readily get misinformation. In fact, a proper responsible media firm will not share misinformation. Yeah.
We're in the maritime sector.
Yeah.
We're talking about the blue economy.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, we know that the blue economy is the next oil, right?
Yeah.
As it said in the water, maybe even larger than oil, if publicized. In the spirit of journalism, and of course in the spirit of cooperation, right? How is a maritime press helping, the federal government per se? Because under this administration they created a Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, and don't forget that it was a cry from the press and a number of stakeholders that say we need a specialized ministry for the maritime sector, and the ministry has been created now. How well are you doing this publicity to ensure that people understand, the importance of the blue economy, of course, which extends to environment, which is your own specialization, keeping environments clean and all that, so that we can have, a robust economy whereby we can also have, it makes the federal government's diversification, drive, to make some sense. So what is the maritime press doing to make this happen?
Okay, thank you. The maritime press has been doing quite a lot, but it can only do as much and as far as it has some very important resources. I'll tell you for sure, you mentioned it, the federal government was able to create the marine and blue economy because of reportage.
Yes, was a cry.
It was a cry. The maritime media kept on talking about the need stakeholders engagement. You find out that the maritime media does quite a lot of coverage, looking at what stakeholders are requesting, and then looking at the key areas of the blue economy. I would like to point to areas like those who do fisheries in the coastal areas. The maritime media has been trying, reporting the needs in those areas, reporting the things that they do in those areas, reporting the things that can be done to better the blue economy, the activities that we say are blue, makes up the blue economy. Fisheries for one, boating, tourism, and then also bringing to the fore the challenges that they face in the blue economy. For example, those who do ferry inland waterways ferrying, we see that lately there have been quite a lot of challenges, and it is the maritime media that has continued to put it out there. But you asked a very sensitive question to say how well is the maritime media doing? And I said it can only do as much as it's the resources that are available to it. It can do better. It can do well. We have people, we have some forms of areas of the media that are covering the education of people in the coastal areas. Education this time around, I'm talking about indigenous knowledge creation with regards to what they do in the blue economy, for example.
And sensitization as well.
Sensitization, and those who do like weaving of their
Crafts and all that.
rafts, their crafts, and even the nets that they use. Those are also aspects of blue economy. The challenges they face, how much they are doing, what grounds they are gaining. The media are doing that, but the limitations are there. It is just how much resources they can get that they can do. They are doing it, but so much more can still be done.
All right, so finally,
Yeah.
I'll ask you two questions in one. What is your word for the federal governments of today as regards press freedom? And of course, to your direct constituency, which is the maritime sector.
Yeah.
May I say NIMASA
Yes.
rights as regards press freedom, and how you think they can help the press to continue to develop the country, as they are called, gatekeepers, so that we can shape in the future of the country to have peace, and of course, whether their rights are not trampled upon.
Okay, thank you very much. The federal government of Nigeria can do much more by way of support to the media. And when I say by way of support, it should be in terms of training, it should be in terms of making available work tools. The world has gone digital, and when we say digital, it's gone beyond just maybe the phone to be able to make phone calls. There are quite a lot of other digital tools that can enhance what the journalists can do. If the federal government gives such support, fine. And then support for media organizations to be able to improve their capacity, to be able to do what they are doing better. And then if we bring it back home, maritime media, I think organizations like NIMASA, I would like to take you back to SDG 17 that says
Partnership.
Partnership.
For the goals.
For the SDGs, partnership is very important. NIMASA and the other agencies, Nigerian Ports Authority and the likes, can do well or can do better by cooperating with the maritime media, sponsor programs, sponsor trainings, so that they can improve on their capacity.
But I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you would agree with that NIMASA is doing well for the media.
Yes, okay.
To an extent, yes.
To an extent, yes.
Tried a lot.
Yes,
Trainings and all
yes,
of
to
that.
an
And
extent,
I
yes.
know other sister
And they
agencies
can do
so we
better.
can always do better.
They can do
because we are
better.
partners
Yes.
in progress.
Yes, they can do better.
All right. Thank you
They
so very
can do
much,
better.
Dr.
Thank you.
Hope Orivri, for coming to this show. She's also a grandmother, anyway. Thank you for coming.
Thank
on
you
this
very
program.
much.
And we've learned a lot, and it's us from the NIMASA, telling the media world we're wishing you, happy, World Press Day, and of course wish you all the best. You are the gatekeepers of the economy. You are doing a lot to promote our economy. Continue to do what you're doing. Continue to report in a responsible manner, because, like I said earlier during the interview, we are what we eat. So what you project us out there is what we are perceived as Nigerians. So it's a wrap on this edition of our podcast. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you. See you again next segment. Bye.